Next to last lesson for 6th grade, gang. We're talking about writing and solving proportions. So proportion is a statement that two ratios are equivalent. Two fractions are the same. When a variable is present, these can be solved using cross multiplication. I believe this is a method you are familiar with, although you may not have heard it called cross multiplication. So let me show you how this works. We're going to solve these proportions using cross multiplication. So a cross multiplication means I'm going to multiply diagonally. So x times 6 is 6x. Please remember that we put the number in front of the variable. 2 times 3 on the other side of the equal sign will be 6. This is a one-step equation. 6 times x is what we see. So to get x by itself, we do the opposite of what we see. That means we will divide both sides by 6. And x is equal to 1. Okay. Cross multiplication is oftentimes referred to as cross multiply and divide. So let's practice it again. On the next problem, 3 times 12 is 36. X times 4, or 4 times x, is 4x. Divide both sides by 4 after we cross multiply. 36 divided by 4 is 9, so x is equal to 9. And in the last guy, 3 times 10 is 30. 5 times x is 5x. I will divide both sides by 5, and 6 is equal to x. So cross multiply and divide. I'm pretty sure you have seen this before. Next example. A boat uses 2 gallons of gas to travel 12 miles. Use proportions to find out how far it could travel using 3, 4, and 5 gallons of gas. Okay. So, what we want to do here is grab what we know, which is 2 gallons gets us 12 miles. And that's going to be equal to, now a proportion is two fractions that are equal. If my first fraction has gallons over miles, my second fraction has to have gallons over miles. I'm asked to find how far it could go using 3, 4, and 5 gallons of gas. So that's going to be 3 different problems. So, you know what? We're going to go ahead and set up all 3 now. We will have 2 gallons and 12 miles for all 3. So we've got to do for 3, 4, and 5 gallons. So 3 is the number of gallons. It means I don't know the miles. When I don't know something mathematically, we usually call it x. 4 is the number of gallons. When I don't know something, we usually call it x. And 5 is the number of gallons. When I don't know something, we usually call it x. So it's writing a bunch of proportions, and now it's cross multiply and solve. 2 times x is 2x. 12 times 3 is 36. Divide both sides by 2. And we find out that on 3 miles, or 3 gallons of gas, we can go 18 miles. For 4 gallons, cross multiply. 2x, 12 times 4 is 48. Divide both sides of this by 2, and on 4 gallons of gas, we can go 24 miles. And on 5 gallons, cross multiply. 2x, 12 times 5 is 60. Divide both sides by 2. On 5 gallons of gas, we can go 30 miles. The last thing you're going to be tasked with doing in this section is using proportions to convert units of measurement. So, you already know how to change 5 yards into feet. You know, this is not something you haven't done before. It's 15 feet, we know that. But you are being asked to use proportions specifically to do it. So, what would that look like? Okay, so we have 5 yards, and let's pretend for a moment we don't know how many feet that is. So it's x feet. If I'm setting up my fraction as yards over feet, on this side of the proportion, I have to still have yards over feet. That's not negotiable. Do we know the numbers that relate these? Yes, we do. There are 3 feet in 1 yard. Once you have this, we're good to cross multiply now. 5 times 3 is 15. X times 1 is x. And x is measured in feet. So the answer here is 15 feet.